Hey guys, we're here talking about how we measure out time in traditional notation. Remember, we talked about rhythm, the pattern of change in steady beat, and how we use symbols called notes. The differences that we can see between notes let us know about the note's duration, how long the sound is going to last. We're going to talk about two different ways of making notes longer today. We also need to talk about how music is a symbolic language. That means that we use symbols to transmit meaning. Some of these symbols get used in other ways that look suspiciously like other parts of the language of music. So we're going to need to talk about four different things that you can see in music, only two of which will make notes longer. The very first way to make notes longer is called a tie. If you look at these first two notes on the staff, you can see that they're on the same space. They are joined together by a curved line. This is called a tie. A tie makes notes longer, and it makes notes longer because they are two notes of the same pitch. And then that curved line means you're going to add the value of those two notes together. If we were in 4/4 time, one quarter note would be worth one count, and then the next quarter note would also be worth one count if they're tied together and they're the same pitch. Now we'll start playing the first note, and we'll hold it for the value of this note plus the value of the other. It's simple addition. That's the first way of making notes longer, tying them together. A tie looks suspiciously like a mark of articulation called a slur. Marks of articulation tell the musician how we're going to play or sing the notes that we see on the page. So this is two notes, one on this first space and one on the second space, that are joined by this curved slur line. Curved slur lines do not make notes longer. These are two different pitches, so the minute we hear a different pitch, then we're not going to make it longer. So that's a dead giveaway. But a slur is something in the music that shows that those notes belong together. And it depends on the instrument you're playing or what you're doing as to what that could possibly mean. If you see a set of slur lines in vocal music, it means that you are going to sing one syllable of a word on two different pitches. This happens all of the time in choral music, and so we need to be aware of it. It also means in orchestral music that you're going to bow those two notes with the same bowing. And if you're playing a band instrument, it means you're going to tongue those two notes. So they belong together. You have to play them like they belong together. So the tie makes the note longer, but this slur says how we're going to play it. So the second way that we can make notes longer is by using an augmentation dot. And an augmentation dot is a dot that, just like the one I'm pointing to here, follows the note head. It means it's to the right. That augmentation dot is going to make notes longer because that dot represents half of the value of the note it follows. And so when you add the value of the note to half of the value of that note, then it's going to make it longer. So in 4/4 time, if I had a half note, that would be worth two counts. The dot would be worth half of two, which is one, and 2 plus 1 equals 3. If I have an augmentation dot after a whole note in 4/4 time, that whole note itself is worth 4 counts. The augmentation dot is worth half of 4, or 2, and 4 plus 2 is 6. It gets a little trickier once you get to things that are the same unit as the beat or shorter than the beat. So if I have a quarter note in 4/4 time, the quarter note's worth 1 count. The dot that follows it is worth half a count. If I add those two together, the dotted quarter note is worth 1.5 counts. And It's just something that you need. You get really good at doing it fast, but you got to recognize that that's different. This makes the value of the note longer. However, we use dots in other ways, like this staccato. If you have a note with a staccato under the note head or over the note head if the stem is going down, this is not a way to make a note longer. It's another mark of articulation, and it tells you how you're going to play it. Staccato means that it's going to be here we go, right on my face. You actually have to detach the note that has the staccato from anything that follows it. It means it's going to not be smooth and connected. It's going to be separated from the other notes that are there. It's really important that you know what each of the notes and what they look like, what it means for their duration, and these two other ways of making notes longer. Good luck.